Washington, D.C. Mukesh, appreciate you coming on to CNBC TV 18 a day after what has been a historic legislation that's been passed by the Indian Parliament. How are foreign investors reading this?
I think this is a historic transformational amendment. The members I have talked to, they're excited about it, especially the manufacturing and also the logistic environment. I think the message it sends is that this government, this administration, is serious about driving the reform. I think the challenge is going to be execution of this process. And as the previous speaker mentioned, it is going to take some time. There'll be a lot of disruption initially, and hopefully 24 months from now, things will settle down.
Right, Mukesh, it is the rollout itself is expected over the next year or so. The government not committing whether it will meet the April 1, 2017 timeline, but tax-related concerns have been high on the list of issues that foreign investors have had to face when dealing with India. Do you believe that this now gives people in the boardroom a little more comfort on the ease of doing business and as well as the simplification as far as the tax structure is concerned?
I believe so. I think you're moving away from 17 different layers of taxation to a simplified process. And I think it makes it very simple for U.S. companies to look at that, plan their investment, because it brings more predictability, it brings more transparency to the whole process. But more important is also it kind of provides a simple process for global supply management to get integrated for Indian sites also. So I think overall it's a very, very positive story for the U.S. companies.
Mukesh, in terms of sectors and in terms of inflows now, the USIBC, of course, has been very optimistic about inflows into India from strategic investors, long-term investors. Where do things currently stand? What are you hearing from your conversation with your members? Which are the sectors that we're likely to see inflows picking up?
Well, a month ago, the Prime Minister was here in the U.S., and our member companies committed almost $45 billion of investment next 24 months into India. When you look at the sectors which were really driving the lead in this $45 billion, they were on the digital economy aspect. We're seeing it also on the logistics side. We're seeing it on the manufacturing side. So I think what we are seeing is leveraging of opening of the economy for domestic market and also for export market by the U.S. companies. And if you look at India, is the only shining economy so far on the horizon. So there's a lot of optimism, and I think that's being shown by strong investment by U.S. companies into India.
At the end of this month, Mukesh, we will see that bilateral dialogue on business between India and the U.S. move to its next phase with a meeting here in New Delhi. Now, the GST was one of the pending reforms that investors were hoping the government would push through. In terms of the unfinished agenda and in terms of other concerns that you would like addressed or foreign investors would like addressed, what remains on the table?
I think both sides have issues which needs to be addressed. I think GST is a fantastic step moving in the right direction. I think from the U.S. side, there's a bilateral investment treaty. There is the, India's participation to APEC. From India's side, there's an issue of H-1B. There's an issue of totalization. So we do have a lot of, I would say, concrete issues which we need to sort out. But I think when you look back, last 26, 28 months of this administration, what we're seeing is slowly things are moving in the right direction. Issues are being sorted out. So I think the sentiment is positive, and I think hopefully the strategic and commercial dialogue which takes place on August 30th and 31st in New Delhi will be a positive one.
Should Indian investors be worried about a regime change in the U.S. If indeed it is Donald Trump in the White House, and what that will mean as far as business relations and the strategic commercial dialogue that we've undertaken is concerned?
No, absolutely not. I think the relationship with India and the U.S. is not tied to any political affiliation. If you look back, it's the Republicans who pushed the civil nuclear deal, is the Democrats under Clinton pushed the partnership closer. So I think whoever comes in realizes that India is a great potential market and as a great partner as the geopolitical environment shifts also. So I don't think there's absolutely any concern either President Clinton comes in or President Trump comes in, the relationship will go in a trajectory which is upward between the two countries.
Mukesh Aghi, always a pleasure speaking with you. That's the president of the US-India Business Council, live from Washington, D.C., saying foreign investors have given a big thumbs up to the GST constitutional amendment bill being passed by Parliament. Well, Kritika, what about the markets today?
Well, trading was a